tuned into Flipping the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 10 of Flipping the Birds. I'm Bryan Cameron alongside Chris Infante. And usually episode 10 is, it should be a good episode. But unfortunately, that is not the case today. I have no words, honestly. I really don't know what to say about this loss. Like, I don't know, Chris.
If you don't
in video chat right now, so I'm looking dead at him, and he's at a loss of words as I am.
If you do not like curse words, please put as like in Wedding Crashers, they said earmuffs. It's time to put on the earmuffs because I'm fucking pissed. Like this, and if you're listening right now, and you're one of those people that want to blame Wentz for everything, kindly stop listening right now.
Yeah, that's not the case on this end.
Because what more do you want him to do? There were 7 dropped passes. 7. Most people don't have that. Like, most receivers don't have that in a year. Most teams don't have that in a year. The Eagles had 7 drop passes today. In one game. That potential game-winning touchdown throw that Wentz had at the end of the game that would have at worst, put them on the 1-yard line to JJ, hit him in the damn hands. And at first, like when I first saw that play, I was like, damn, he forced it, and the defender made a nice play. And then when you look at the replay, it hit JJ in the hands.
And went right through his chest and everything. It was like a catch in the backyard in recess.
For someone who was hailed as sure-handed prospect as you can find coming out of the draft, and I myself included, were on the JJ will be a number 1 wide receiver soon enough, like sooner rather than later. And then once we found out Deshaun and Alshon were out. There's time for JJ's time to shine. That was his moment.
We still had hope.
That was his moment for everybody to say, you know what? Maybe it's JJ's time over Aguilar. And then we'll get into Aguilar in a minute. But that was his time to be like, you know what? I can go up and be the Alshon Jeffrey that's not Alshon Jeffrey. I can go up and get those 50-50 balls and make people forget about Alshon Jeffrey once next year, the year after, Jeffrey's not there anymore. And
Quick question. Would you consider that pass a 50-50 ball?
100%. Maybe
75-25?
Maybe 60-40 Eagles way, because you saw like at first, when you first look at it, it looked like it was a 50-50 ball. It looked like it was either defender or JJ going to get that. But when you look at the replay, it was clearly more JJ than it was defender. And
it's heartbreaking. It's definitely heartbreaking. There's a lot to cover about this game. It's just 7 drop passes. I feel like we're in a time traveling machine right now with the Eagles. We see glimpses of 2018 and we're seeing glimpses of 2016, but we have yet to see glimpses of 2017. So at this point, let's start with offense. Who do you point the finger at? Are we pointing the finger at Doug? Are we pointing the finger at Carson, at the offensive line, at the running game, at Mike Groh?
I'm not pointing any finger at Carson Wentz for this game. I
completely agree with that.
Not one. Of course, there will be times where I'm like, Carson did. I will say, if we want to put anything on Carson, there were some times where he had some questionable throws, or
he got it on that underneath route.
On that Darren Sproles play, the offensive pass interference, right underneath him was Aguilar, wide open. So
breaking free.
I don't know if he just didn't want to check down to get to him because he's had quite the day. But he missed. I mean, Goddard dropped that pass, and then Aguilar dropped it and fumbled, and Sanders fumbled. Like, it's so hard to pin it on Wentz, on anything on Wentz. Yeah, he had pretty questionable reads. But like, that's
I
it.
feel like he had trust issues out there more than anything. Like, I might get a little stoned for saying this, but I believe preseason holding pretty much the whole team out of preseason really affected him to start the season. This like right now, like not finding that rhythm, not finding that actual in-game rhythm with his receivers, with his tight end, with the running backs, and this damn shotgun running play, the inside zone. I think that's what they're running right now. What the hell is that about at this point? I don't get it.
Like, Doug, I know you'll never listen to this podcast.
This is number one podcast.
This is, I know Flipping the Birds is probably number one on your playlist right now. So listen clearly, man. Jordan Howard, you traded. I know it wasn't a high pick; it was a mid-round pick, but you traded for a guy who was third in the league in rushing since he's been in the league.
Very efficient.
Only behind Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley, two running backs who are number one and number two all time in running back contracts. Jordan Howard, who's playing for the cheapest running back contract, one of the cheapest running back contracts in the league, and you're not using him. Like, he was showing you in the beginning of the game that he can get yards. Like, I if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that whenever Jordan Howard gets the ball and he just runs like how he usually runs, I just tweet, Jordan Howard gets yards. Howard gets yards, because that's what he does. Like, Miles Sanders had a pretty good rushing day outside of those fumbles. I mean, the fumbles were, one was recovered by us and the other wasn't.
It was both on the same drive.
Yeah,
Like,
both on the same drive.
Back to back, pretty much.
Jordan Howard had 11 carries for 37 yards. That is not indicative of what he was doing, because then in the second half, when he finally played, they were forcing him the ball when they shouldn't have been. Like, his first couple carries, I think he had like 3 carries for 20-something yards. And then the rest of the game, they were
4 for 20.
Right. So he was getting 5 yards per carry. But instead of keeping him in a rhythm, they're like, you know what, let's get this prized rookie the ball. Again, like we said in the beginning of the year, give Sanders a few weeks to be the backup.
Get him acclimated to the offense.
Right. Like, let him be the change of pace back. Let Jordan Howard be Jordan Howard, and let Miles Sanders be like the rookie Tariq Cohen. Because that's what Sanders was. Sanders was the lead guy, and then the Bears had Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen like spelled him, from now and then, every now and then it was Tariq Cohen's time. That's why they traded Jordan Howard. But now you trade for Jordan Howard, and you feel like you need to defend that second-round pick on Miles Sanders way more than you had to defend trading a fifth-round pick for Jordan Howard. And
that was the assumption that coming into the season, that it was going to be like that. Like, it was Howard Lee, the bell cow, Sanders to change of pace, Sproles and Clement, the receiving backs. But we haven't seen that at all. Like, Miles had 13 carries today for 53 yards, but 2 fumble losses, which explain the whole pretty damn offense this Sunday. Explains everything.
The Eagles had 3 fumbles today. One was recovered by us, and 2 was not.
The Aguilar fumble, that was not a fumble though. Like, he didn't take 2 steps. He only took 1 step.
I hate to say that you're wrong, but you're wrong.
You don't hate to say that. Stop saying that.
I actually love saying that you're wrong. But, so let me just say that again. You're wrong. That's he, like, looking at that play again. He didn't it doesn't have to. I don't think it has to be two steps anymore. It has to be a football move. He grabbed. This is like the whole Des Bryant shit all over again, and Calvin Johnson. He grabbed.
But just because he tucked it in, it was pretty much considered a football move.
Tucked it in and he turned upfield, and then all of a sudden the ghost of Christmas Past came in and
Chip Kelly's pass.
a ghost of Chip Kelly's pass just came in and knocked it out of his hand because no one touched him, and he just lost it, and it's
so real quick. So funny thing, right? Everybody was on Carson Wentz saying that he needs to spread the ball. He needs to spread the ball. He needs to spread the ball. I finally understand why he didn't spread the ball last season. Besides the back injury and everything like that, it has to be trust issues at this point. Like look at this. Look at the target share. Miles Sanders had 4 targets, caught two passes. He had a long I think it was that long 70-yard pass. Zach Ertz had 7 targets, caught 4. Matt Collins 7 targets, caught 4. Nelson Aguilar 12 targets, caught 8. JJ caught 3 targets, caught 1 pass. And 4 receivers above 50 yards.
The fact that Miles Sanders was your leading receiver, it says a lot about the options that the Eagles have right now. And, if Deshaun Jackson is out longer than right now it's reported that obviously he missed today's game. He's going to miss the Green Bay game. There's a possibility he misses the Jets game. Alshon Jeffrey was maybe going to play today. I don't think he's going to play Thursday either.
Wild, man.
So it's time to look at what's out there receiving because you're not going to keep up with a Green Bay offense that features Devontae Adams, who I hope the Eagles win Thursday, but I also hope Devontae Adams shows up because he's on my fantasy.
Well, he most likely will if Ronald Darby is playing.
Yeah, he most likely will. But you need to look at what's available out there in free agency. And right now, the big name out there is Des Bryant.
I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening either. Like let me preface my thing by I don't think it happened. But they're not going to trade for a wide receiver. If they trade for a wide receiver, it's going to be someone that really belongs on a practice squad.
Yeah, there's nobody to trade for right now.
There's no one, absolutely no one to trade for. But quickly looking at the known names that are out there in free agency, Pierre Garçon, you got Darius Hayward-Bay is out there. Maybe they could sign Agudosi or Charles Johnson. We know those guys.
For what? For more drops? They don't have any more drops out here, man.
They could trade. They could go out and sign. They can't. They're not going to get Torrey Smith out of retirement.
No, definitely not.
They got Michael Floyd, who's another drug test away from being suspended.
Yeah, he's on the Cowboys.
Kevin White, who was drafted in the top 10 by the Bears, who then went to Arizona, but he's a free agent right now. There's no one out there for the Eagles to. There's Laquan Treadwell, who got released by the Vikings.
There is one person. You could use him for one game or two. Antonio Brown, he's not on the exempt list. Just 2 games.
They are not touching him with a damn 30-foot pole. I didn't want to say his name because I didn't want to go into that route, but for a fact they are not taking him at all.
So that's my fear, though. Not Antonio Brown, but my fear is that they're so complacent with what they have that I truly fear Howie's not going to do anything this season. After he's done so many blockbuster moves the past couple seasons, I fear that they're going to let this ride until then.
I think the next week, maybe the next day or two, is really going to say a lot about Howie Roseman. Because
he's got to do something. Right now he's the plumber, and we have a crazy leak in the kitchen.
Because for the longest time, when Chip Kelly took over, and they moved Howie over to the back office, the back of the building, because Chip Kelly didn't want him around. And they took personnel things over. Everybody's saying, you know what, we got to bring Howie back. We got to bring Howie back. He's the move maker. And everyone wants to say Howie big balls. It's Howie season. But all these hashtag Howie season moves were really done when Joe Douglas was around.
Very true, because of the scouting that Douglas did.
Yeah, so, for Howie to really dispel the notion that the moves that the Eagles made for a Super Bowl run, or the moves that the Eagles made ever while he was, quote unquote, general manager, executive manager, vice president of football operations, he needs to make a big move so people can say, all right, this is Howie's team. This is not a team that Howie was quote unquote running while Joe Douglas was telling him who to get, or Chip Kelly was telling him who to get. He doesn't really have a mark on this team.
He really doesn't. I mean, Deshaun Jackson wouldn't be considered a mark at
No,
all either.
Deshaun Jackson was a move that Deshaun Jackson wanted. Deshaun Jackson wanted to come back, so they made it happen. And Howie's big names since being manager were getting Ronald Darby, getting Jay Ajayi.
Oh, wait, hold on, time out. Jordan Matthews.
I don't want to say Jordan Matthews because...
Why not? He was pretty efficient last year. Come on. Tip your hat to him.
Efficient in what?
Yeah, he has some, I think 2 or 3 big plays.
Okay.
One in the playoff game. He has efficient hands. So
he made 2 or 3 big plays in how many games, and that's efficient?
Look, man, he was like a backup last year. Stop it. I'm just saying, to me, all right, do you think Jordan Matthews makes that catch at the end?
No. No.
You don't think so?
No.
100%.
100%.
Okay, I believe you. Even though you're not looking at me in my eyes, I believe you.
Because I'm looking up shit right now. I'm trying to find some shit right now, but I wanted to find. I remember writing it down. Who were the big names of Howie Roseman's career?
It was Darby, Ajayi.
It was
Bennett,
Darby, Ajayi,
Michael Bennett, Golden Tate. Right.
Okay. So he traded for Ajayi. He signed Darby. No, he traded for Darby. Right. He traded for Darby. Signed Jernigan. Traded for Sproles. And traded for D'Amico Ryans.
That's Howie's tenure. Only Howie by himself.
That's the biggest name he's traded. Actually, those are all trades. That's the biggest names he's traded for. Every other person, like Malcolm Jenkins, was a free agent. I know Deshaun Jackson was a trade, but I don't.
But everything else included Joe Douglas till now.
Yes, D'Amico Ryans wasn't Joe Douglas. I don't think neither was Darren Sproles, but Jernigan, Darby, Ajayi, Joe Douglas was back there.
And Tate was a little.
Golden Tate. I mean, for how inefficient Golden Tate was for us, all right. So if you want to say Jordan Matthews was efficient because of 2 or 3 big plays, so was Golden Tate.
No, he had one big play. That's it.
Golden Tate had his couple of plays, and his biggest play was in the Bears game in the playoffs.
That was his only play.
Was when he took that big ass hit, and he caught that ball. But if you want to say Jordan Matthews is efficient, then Golden Tate was efficient.
I'm just saying, so here's what I'm saying with Jordan Matthews. I think Jordan Matthews is more efficient than who we have right now. Granted, Matt Collins looks pretty good, even though for some reason he can't keep his hands to himself. JJ looks very, very unconfident right now. I don't even know if that's a damn word, but he doesn't look confident right now. Aguilar is just, he's battling between 2016 Aguilar and 2017 Aguilar right now. So I think having Matthews there to kind of it gives Carson a valuable, trusted weapon. That's why I'm going with Jordan Matthews.
And I know this podcast is coming out tonight, so I can mention this. Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was just traded to the Steelers for a first-round pick. Just got an interception.
Eagles. We have what? 2 interceptions this season.
In his first game with the Steelers, who traded a first-round pick for a lockdown corner, I think they're playing him a safety.
Yeah,
but still, he has an interception in his first game with his new team.
Okay, so since we're talking about that,
hold on. Listen to this, everyone. I am banging the table for this team to make a damn move.
They got to do something. Now the question is,
while I'm preoccupied by my dog giving me her damn ball in my lap every time I get angry. She comes up to me and she's like, "Here's my ball, throw it."
I'm trying not to get distracted by that, by the way. You're playing catch on the podcast right now.
Like, I know Brian's the only one who could see this, but this little bitch right here just keeps putting her ball next to me. She's like, "Hey, Dad, I know you're angry right now, but I need you to play with me. I need you to play fetch with me."
Maybe she's trying to tell us something that we should sign her. I mean, has she dropped any passes?
Maybe we should. Here, Macy, ready? Oh, she caught the ball. Sign her.
There we go.
Sign her. Sign her up.
Game winner right there. So now the question is, do we make a trade for offense, or a trade to pretty much put a Band-Aid on the offense, or a trade to solidify the defense?
Defense.
100%. And obviously, it's Ramsey. That's 100%. The only name that matters right now. Jalen Ramsey.
I said on my Twitter earlier, trade 3 first-round picks for Ramsey. I don't give a flying fuck right now. Trade 2020, 2021, 2022 first-round picks. I do not care. Jalen Ramsey locks down a whole side of the field. And if you have him on one side and you have Sidney Jones on the other, I'm not talking about Darby because Darby sucks. Sidney Jones, they weren't really throwing to him today. It was they were throwing to Darby.
They were picking on Darby again. Even the commentator said that.
Yeah, once Darby left the game, Stafford wasn't that good. Yeah. He was good in regards to getting the open receiver. Even after Darby left the game, because of the damn sticks defense. Like the damn cushion. Stafford, between Keenum and Ryan and Stafford, they have just been calling 5-yard outs, 5-yard slants, because the damn defense is playing 10 to 15 yards off the ball.
And question, well, can you point the camera up, though? I'm over here looking at your lips instead of your face.
Looking at my crotch right
now. Have you noticed that LJ4 has not played a snap? And he signed him to like a 3-year contract and everything?
He's been playing just special teams.
No defense.
He has been on special teams. I noticed that today when they called that.
Cyprian too.
Yeah, Cyprian. They called that flag on the kickoff, like offsides. Which I'm surprised by Detroit. I know we still lost, but I'm surprised Detroit took that penalty because they said offsides on the Eagles, and they still took that penalty. They were saying that LJ Fort ran before the ball was kicked.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was the Lions, I'm like, why'd you take that penalty? Miles Sanders took it to the 11-yard line, so they took that penalty, and then they started. There was a touchback. But I think the Eagles are being too damn cute right now.
I agree with that.
And the play calling
is super suspect. All these shotgun 5 wideouts or shotgun inside run, like, I don't get it. Like, it's not Eagles football. They've never been efficient. That's Chip Kelly's football when he got Sam Bradford. You remember when the Falcons just played like, I think it was like the sticks defense against Chip Kelly at one point.
Yeah. I'm just angry right now.
It's mind blowing. We're in a position where we're really like where we are. I hate to say this, but we are at the same level as the Washington Redskins and the New York Giants.
Like today,
moving the ball.
if you really look at it, today was a must-win game.
Yeah, absolutely. Even somebody said it in the Eagles locker room. I forgot what. I don't know if it was Lane Johnson or somebody else, but somebody said Sunday's a must-win game.
Like, because you look at the right now, and I know everybody's been tweeting it, but you look at the next few games. Obviously, you have the Packers on Thursday, which is only obviously a few days away, dealing with all these injuries, and you're facing Aaron Rodgers coming off a win today. And Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Like, if you think Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford were picking us apart, and Case Keenum were picking us apart,
Aaron Rodgers is gonna have a field day.
Aaron Rodgers is going to have like 500 yards passing.
Oh Lord.
With Devontae Adams and Valdez Scantling had a touchdown today, and that's why I'm like banging the drum for a damn Jalen Ramsey trade, because Jalen Ramsey will lock down Devontae Adams, and then you have to worry about
Valdez Scantling and Allison.
So instead of worrying about all three at the same time, let Jalen Ramsey worry about one.
Another thing, the pass rush. We only have 2 sacks I know it's still only 3 games, but we only have 2 sacks for the year. And to have a pass rush where you have Fletcher Cox, you have Derek Barnett, you have Brandon Graham, and a pretty decent rotation right now. To have only 2 sacks, and Stafford didn't get touched at all in this game. He got touched once, and it was right before it was right after he threw the ball to Marvin Jones for that huge completion.
I know the pass rush hasn't been, the sack numbers haven't been there, and I know people want to say, well, QB pressures aren't a real stat. And if you want to say QB pressures aren't a real stat, I will tell you that QB wins aren't a real stat either. Because if you want to say QB wins and losses, this obviously is a loss on Carson Wentz, but this wasn't a loss on Carson Wentz. So obviously in his stat record is QB wins, whatever, a loss, one more loss for today for him as a starter. But you watch the game, you see this was not on Carson Wentz. So QB wins and losses are a flawed stat.
It's an irrelevant stat, but there was no pressure on Stafford today.
No, there was a ton of pressure. There was just no sacks.
But he was still getting the ball out at ease. He wasn't like...
He was getting the ball out at ease because the corners haven't been doing their job. because the offensive game plan for the Redskins, the Falcons, and the Lions have been, let's throw it short. Let's throw it 5 to 10 yards because they give us enough cushion so we can get this ball. We don't have to get a first down every play because we're passing the ball and we're getting 4 to 5 yards each pass. So you have obviously you really only have 3 downs to play with. So if you're getting 3 downs of 4 yards a pass play, 4 to 5 yards of pass play, 4 times 3 is 12. So it's a first down every time every time in their drive. So you trade for Jalen Ramsey, and he locks down a side, and Sidney Jones, Rasul Douglas rotate on that other side, and it gives the line a little bit more time to get the ball. It's really not that much more of a time. It's really just a half second. Mm-hmm. It really is, because let's say it's Jalen Ramsey and Sidney Jones on the outside and Devontae Maddox in the slot, and they're covering for 3 full seconds. That's 3 seconds for that defense to get into the. Whereas right now they're covering for 2.5 seconds, and then all of a sudden it's the ball's out, and then that's when Derek Barnett and Brandon Graham are at the quarterback, because they're there at 2.5 seconds with the pressure, and the sack comes at 3 seconds. So with their cornerbacks breaking down so quickly in the secondary, Stafford's able to get that ball out. Like you saw that one sidearm to Jones that Stafford had. If there's just a split second more of coverage on Jones, that's a sack. Like so I don't get, like I obviously I'm an Eagles fan, if you haven't noticed.
I would
And
hope so.
and I love Eagles Twitter. I love all of you, and I love interacting with all of you. But but those of you that are like, without a pass rush, there's no quarterback. We need a pass rush. It goes hand in hand. Like, obviously, if there's a pass rush, it's going to help the cornerbacks because a quick pass rush is going to get the ball out quicker than the quarterback wants it, and that's going to help the DBs. But the DBs covering the damn receivers, that's going to help it. Because look at Wentz. Look at how long Wentz has had to hold the ball. Because they're covered.
Check this out real quick. So check this out. Week 1, 0 sacks. This is for defensive ends. 0 sacks, 4 QB hits. Week 2, 0 sacks, 4 QB hits. Week 3, 0 sacks, 2 QB hits.
I know the hits. I mean, like
this is what I'm trying to say is like this is not like the Eagles pass rush that we're accustomed to. Even last season. But last season, granted, we did have Chris Long and Michael Bennett, when the Eagles chose to move on from, because they believed enough in their depth. And then we missed out on Jadeveon Clowney. Now we're down 2 tackles. I think Barnett had a little issue today.
Yeah, but he came back fine. He was,
Jim Schwartz relies on the defensive pass rush at the end of the day. That's what he relies on, bro.
Jim Schwartz. Okay, all right. So before.
Hold on, wait. No, are you saving that for our Boo Bird segment?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you gotta save it. You can't save it right now.
I gotta save it. God damn it! I gotta save it. All
right, so you know what? We'll go right to our Boo Birds.
Just a little preview, and so no, we don't have to go to the Boo Birds yet. Just a little preview for our Boo Birds. I have a name out there that I'm gonna call for to come to the Eagles, and it's not what Bryan thinks. Not what Bryan thinks. It's probably not
very interesting.
Probably not what you think. But just getting back to this game.
You're at a loss of words. I feel you, man. If you need somebody to talk to, I'm right here for you, bro.
just looking at this game, there, like, the only positive of this game was Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz looked like the top tier QB. Like, people were on Twitter saying, we should have. This is what we paid you to do. Like, we paid you to make throws to get us back.
He was doing more than that. He was throwing his body everywhere. He was trying to find ways to get the team and to put the team in the right position to win.
And I'm gonna call out a certain tweeter. His name is Alberto Torres. He said, "How do you wait so long to throw the ball? This just shows that Jeffrey and Djax are difference makers. Ertz is a shell of himself. It's not really in Wentz to sustain the game-winning drive, or is it the players on the team that can't make the catch for him?"
Ertz was double teamed the whole game. That whole shell thing.
Because Ertz was double teamed because Djax and Alshon weren't there. So obviously, when we have big time weapons not there, they're gonna hone in on Ertz. So it's up to the other guys, Nelson Aguilar, who had 2 fumbles, JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
No, he deserves Arcega-Whiteside today.
He's a Sega. Hey, JJ, you were a Sega Genesis today. Oh, like, that don't work no more. You don't like you gotta blow on those hands, like the Sega Genesis when you had to blow on those things. You gotta go.
You remember those days?
Oh yeah. Like the other day, my dad was in his garage. He calls me. He's like, "Hey, there's a game system down here. Do you still need it?" And I go, "What game system is in your garage?" He goes, "It says Sega on it." I go, "You think I need a Sega Genesis?" He goes, "All right, so I'll bring it to like one of those game stores." I go, "You think you're gonna get any value when you're gonna bring it to GameStop? They're gonna give you a penny, and they're probably still overpaying for it." Yeah, it's like our Sega Whiteside. Like, you just, like, you had the chance today to really just be like, "Listen, you can trade Aguilar. I could be your wide receiver 3 for the rest of the season."
It was more Matt Collins than Arcega. I got a name for you that the Eagles could possibly trade for, just because it came up on Twitter right now.
That's Bryan.
Because his team is 0-3. No, Dez Bryant is a free agent. You can't trade for him.
All right, hold on. Let me try and guess. Let me look at the standings right now. All right, so 0-3. So the Jets, the Dolphins, the Bengals, the Broncos, maybe the Giants today, maybe the Redskins. They're 0-2. The Panthers are 0-2. So you said 0-3. So that's good.
0-3. So the
So
guy just came out saying today,
Broncos,
he said, times are rough around here.
AJ Green.
No, he's injured. Times are rough around here. Obviously, the past 3 years has been tough. Trying to get it right, we sit at 0-3 living in the world of suck. Football is still fun, but it's not so much fun when you're losing, especially when you prepare as
Hold
hard
on.
as you can.
Hold on, Paul. You said the last 3 years.
Past 3 years has been rough on us wide
All
receiver,
right. All right.
especially last year. Especially
So that
last year.
so that means he's still on his rookie deal.
No, definitely not. Absolutely not.
No. Oh, so the last three.
He's a veteran.
So he's a veteran who just went to his team. He's a veteran, but he's been with the team at least 3 years.
Yep. And last year he suffered a big injury. He came back this year.
A receiver on an 0-3 team. Emmanuel Sanders.
Right on the money.
Emmanuel Sanders, if you're listening right now, we'd be happy to have you.
Just ask for the trade.
Just listen. All right, so three-team deal. Three-team deal. We'll send Nate Sudfeld to the Broncos because Joe Flacco sucks. And we'll send a first round pick this year, a first round pick next year to the Jaguars, and we get Emmanuel Sanders and Jalen Ramsey.
There it is. That's all we need right now.
There it is. Fire Howie Roseman, hire me. My paycheck is probably a little better.
Yeah, that would be a nice paycheck. So now, coming off those topics, I think it's best that we see how the fans are feeling about it. So last week we introduced everybody.
I will say, not to interrupt you, I will
No
say
way.
the only silver lining right now is that the two losses that the Eagles have had have been out of division. You know, they are 1-0 in the division, and you don't want to
I don't want to lose in the division right now.
I get that the Cowboys are 3-0, but they have beaten the Giants, the Redskins, and the Dolphins, who have scored a total of 16 points in 3 games. So, you know,
Minka Fitzpatrick has a forced fumble now. By the way, just to throw that in there.
Jesus Christ. Minka Fitzpatrick, who the Steelers have just traded a first-round pick, has an interception and a forced fumble today. Howie Roseman, make a name for yourself and trade for Jalen Ramsey. I don't know if you heard that Jay Glazer report today during the pregame.
What's up?
And the Fox pregame was Jay Glazer was on there and pretty much said that the Eagles were the front runners to get Jalen Ramsey, and that they were pretty close to getting Jalen Ramsey, but Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, stepped in and said, "No, I'm going to pay Jalen Ramsey."
But that's not the issue with Ramsey, though.
It's he just doesn't want to play there. So
He wants to win.
So Jay Glazer was like, you know, he could pretty much force the issue. Like if Ramsey doesn't show up to practice tomorrow,
So this is what I'm taking from this, right? If Ramsey says no, I want to win, then the ball is favoring the Eagles. Because right away, you're like, okay, cool, you want to win? So take the Eagles deal since it was the best, it was the best one that we had on the table. And of course, Howie's going to say yes. I'm just curious as to what the deal was.
yeah, it's. I feel like it was a player. At this point, at first I was on I did a poll on Twitter, and the poll that I made was, would you be willing to trade Sidney Jones in a package for Jalen Ramsey? And 88% of the voters, I got over 100 votes, was yes. And then I made
that now, though.
I made a different one. Would you with the Hayden Hurst deal from the Ravens that was leaked out? Would you trade Dallas Goedert? And only 66% of people. Obviously, both polls were majority was yes, but less people wanted to trade Dallas Goedert.
But I would right now because Peterson's not using Goddard. Let's be honest.
I think after today,
He was active the whole game.
I think after today you flip that.
What do you mean? Now you say now you offer Goddard.
I think more people would offer Goddard than they would Jones after
I
today.
agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So yeah, so let's bring you guys into the segments for our segment for the fans. It's called Boo Birds. We introduced it to you guys last week, where we sent out a tweet to see how you guys are feeling about the game and who disappointed you guys the most. So here's what we have. We have a lot of comments. Okay. So Bree West Philly at Miss Berry says, I think the defense disappointed me the most. We all knew the shaky ball security Miles Sanders had at Penn State, but damn, and Nelson dropping passes again, and then the offensive pass interference call were blowing my mind. Like, when have we ever gotten offensive pass interference calls? Exclamation point, exclamation point, question mark, question mark.
Uh,
I think it's just a thing with Matt Collins not getting a lot of not getting a lot of playing time, honestly.
I think Matt Collins was too used to his role as a special teamer,
Which apparently he favors more.
which he does favor more. But like all those moves that he did today on the DBs, that's what he does on special teams. You can't do that on offense. Like you might be able to get away with that on special teams, but you can't do that on offense.
Mm-hmm.
He got away with a pick play on that second Aguilar touchdown. I will say the second pass interference call that he was called on was bullshit.
Which one was that?
The one where he missed the I think it was the third down play. He missed the catch anyway, but they said that he pushed off the receiver.
Oh, when he made the break.
And they declined it. So Detroit declined it because he missed the catch anyway. But the first one was egregious. The first one was he straight up pushed the DB out the way, and you could get away with that on special teams, but you can't get away with that on offense.
Definitely agree. So the next one comes from at Julie May 926. She said the D and dropped passes, which we pretty much covered throughout the whole segment of the podcast so far.
All right, so Julie May, I am going to 100% agree with you. Outside of the drop passes, I know we already touched on that. All right, so here's my segment here.
You want to throw in yours?
I think it's time for Jim Schwartz to go. I know the defense has been pretty much picking up the offense, especially today.
Mm-hmm.
And without that special teams touchdown, the kickoff return for a touchdown, it's for the 20 lead. Obviously, there are other things that could have happened, and I know that. But you take those 7 points off the board, which was like you said, like you texted me, which is like the slowest kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yeah, I feel like he was taking forever just to get into the end zone, man.
He was jogging. And no Eagles player was able to get him. But I think it's time to let Schwartz go. He has overstayed his welcome. This whole damn sticks defense thing is getting old. Like you see a 3rd and 15 play, and everybody's at the line, at the first down line. So you're giving the offense the opportunity to throw a 13-yard pass, and then wide receiver makes a spin move, and then he comes up first down. It's getting tiresome, and he wants to defend the sticks defense all he wants, but it's terrible. But I feel like there's no coach on the staff right now to coach up these linebackers. Like the
linebackers are irrelevant. Like they don't really do anything.
There's no coverage from the linebackers. For as well as the corners did cover today, there's like a lot of the mid stuff was on the linebackers. So here's my plea. Fire Jim Schwartz and call up ESPN and see if Jack Del Rio wants to come out and be the defensive coordinator. If not defensive coordinator, at least the linebackers coach for the Eagles. And promote maybe Corey Undlin from DB's coach to defensive coordinator. Corey Undlin was with Denver before he came to us, and he had a great secondary in Denver. He
He
had
did have Chris Harris and
he had Chris Harris
to
and to
leave.
leave. He had to leave there, so he knows how to coach up DBs. So if you're bringing that into defensive schemes, you're bringing that defensive scheme that had Harris, that had Talib, that had Von Miller, that had DeMarcus Ware.
And they're pretty damn effective.
They went to the Super Bowl with that defense. So you promote Corey Unlin to defensive coordinator and call up ESPN and say, listen, we want to hire out Jack Del Rio as our linebackers coach, who was a linebacker himself. He was a defensive coordinator in this league. He knows how to coach. He was a defensive coordinator with the Ravens when they won the Super Bowl with Ray Lewis.
Here's my question for you real quick, and not to steer away so much from the segment. Do you think the linebackers being unvalued on our defense is affecting pretty much the whole defense in a sense?
Yes, because you have Nigel Bradham, who has been the key linebacker for the Eagles the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring in a player like Zach Brown, who has been great wherever he's been. And I know Redskins fans could jump in here and say he was terrible in coverage last year. That's what we were trying to tell you when you signed him.
But he was great against the run.
He was still great against the run. So and you're not using LJ. You're not using LJ Fort how he should. It's time to get a defensive coordinator here that knows how to use the pieces. And Jim Schwartz is just saying, all right, guys, guard the sticks, and we'll see what happens.
I agree with that. I'm not gonna lie. That doesn't sound as far fetched as I thought it would when you first texted me that you had something crazy to say. But I definitely agree with that.
But I meant it more because no one's talking. Everybody's talking about trade for this, trade for that. And even though I'm still on the Jalen Ramsey train, obviously, I'm still saying trade for Ramsey, trade for Ramsey. No, I mean, I'm sure people are talking about it, but the main thing is you don't see fire Jim Schwartz anywhere. It's really just you got to trade for this, trade for this, trade for this. The scheme isn't working. It's not.
That's something that came up. What the hell? Alexa just started talking in the background by herself.
Alexa needs to shut up.
Yeah, she just came out of nowhere. Could be a Cowboys fan. But that's something that came up. Remember, it was right before the 2017 season where everybody felt like Schwartz was trying to take Doug Peterson's job because Michael Lombardi came out saying that Peterson's the worst coach and that his buddy Schwartz, should be the head coach, the second and third. So maybe time has really run its course with Schwartz and this odd defense because the defense has never been able to really not allow points.
Jim Schwartz, he's one of those defensive coordinators that has been getting off because of how great the offense have been.
Mm. They've been able to extend leads and allow whatever to happen on defense.
But now when the offense is hurting and they're really not getting anything right now, it's on Jim Schwartz to really coach up these guys and say, all right, it's time to be the Jim Johnson defense of the 2000s and really dominate these games. And it's not even close. He had when he was in Buffalo for 1 year, they had a great defense.
Yeah, but he had Stephon Gilmore on top of that. He had a lockdown corner.
Yeah, and but in 2001, defense. He started with the Titans as defensive coordinator, and his defense was fifth in the league in yards per game for rushing. Pass defense, it was 31st. So his best was his 2014 with Buffalo. They were third in the league in yards per game for passing. And
that's the weird thing because he always comes out saying that yards don't matter. Yards don't matter. That's the mind blowing perspective right now. I feel like
you see.
Yeah.
And then you see his rushing defense was 11th in the league in yards per game and defense. But then he comes to Philly.
That's a complete opposite.
Passing defense and rushing defense were both 15th. So right in smack dab in the middle of the whole league in 2016 in Carson Wentz's rookie year. Then you look at 2017, fourth in the league in passing defense, first in rushing. But then 2018, 19th in the league in passing defense, first in the league in rushing. Right now, third in the league in rushing, 31st in the league in passing defense. So
and it's
right
the
now,
same corners. I mean, all we're missing is Corey Graham and Patrick Robinson. I don't even think he's playing this year.
So from 2001 till now, and I'm including the head coaching years with Detroit because I think he was really main defensive coordinator when he was head coach with Detroit. Anyway, so 2001 in passing defense, in yards per game, 31st, then 25th, then 30th, then 26th, then 17th, then 27th, then 10th, then 9th. Then he goes to Detroit, 32nd in the league in 2009, 16th, 22nd, 14th, 23rd. Then he goes to Buffalo, 3rd in the league. Then he goes to Philly, 13th in the league, then 17th, then 30th, then 31st, right now. So he only has like 4 or 5 years of not below average defense for passing.
So he's definitely regressing at this point.
Yes, and yards per game, he's always had a defense more often than not that's had a defense that knows how to guard against the rush. In 2001, they were 5th in the league in yards and rushing yards, then 2nd, then 1st, then 18th, 22nd, 30th, then 5th, 6th, 25th, 24th, 23rd, 16th, 6th, 11th, 15th, 1st, 7th, 3rd. So you have a defensive coordinator right now that knows how to stop the run but has no clue how to guard against the pass because of the damn sticks defense and the wide 9.
It sucks because right now, like, I feel like the team feels too much of like an experiment right now. We feel like I feel like they're trying to figure out like, what's gonna work, what's not gonna work at this point, but it's the wrong timing. Ever since Doug mentioned the whole new norm thing, we haven't been the same team. Just to finish with the segment real quick because we only have a couple. Because a lot of it is repetitive, but this one I actually want to bring up to you. So I'll mention it next, actually. Evan Jacobs says Stafford not close to being sacked once. His Twitter name is way too long for me to say. Mm-hmm. But this one, Jared Sigra says Doug Peterson is what he's mostly disappointed in for this game.
I mean,
and this is something that me and you have been going back and forth about, kind of like saying what the hell is going on with the shotgun offense. Started the game again today, five wideouts. Ran the running game through the shotgun again.
I really think, and I know I'm going to be probably criticized for this, but it's okay. I think if we see another few games of Doug Peterson play calling the way he's been play calling, it might be time for him to give up play calling. Like I know I just said fire Jim Schwartz, but I'm not confident in Mike Groh calling offense. So why not let Mike Groh go, give play calling up, and find a guy out there who has
familiarity with the offense,
familiarity with the offense, or maybe a new, like, you can't really put something new in the middle of the season, but you have to get someone.
What about promoting Staley? He's been around this offense for his whole career.
I know his whole career because he's been an Eagle, but like,
why not?
Doug Peterson said I think it was last year or maybe a few months ago, he said that the running back rotation is on Deuce Staley. So if the running back rotation,
not the running back, the running plays,
not the running plays, but then if you're looking at the running, if Doug is playing, if Doug is calling the plays for the running backs, and Deuce Staley is the one putting the running backs in there, so they're kind of one and the same right there, because Deuce Staley is the one play Miles Sanders a lot more than Jordan Howard.
Listen, there'll be no Miles Sanders slander, okay?
I am
Leave my
going to
boy alone, all right?
slander. I'm going
No,
to slander Miles Sanders all I want today
absolutely not.
because he deserves it.
All right, so the next one, Jeffrey underscore Wilson 1. Every single receiver, how do you drop so many passes, which we've covered multiple times?
I agree.
At K Monroe, the basic ass backup receiver is 100% 7 drop passes. Damn. At Daniel underscore Botero, drops easy, and the discussion would have one last week and this week.
Let me tell you something right now. Last year, in 2018, the league leader in drops was Jarvis Landry with 11. But that was in 16 games.
In one game, we have 7.
In one game, we had 7 dropped passes.
And not to mention the game-winning one. Possibly the game-winning one.
Golden Tate last year had 7 drop passes all year. Travis Kelce, Mike Evans, Todd Gurley, Devin Funchess, John Ross, Keelan Cole, Cortland Sutton, all had 7 drop passes the whole year.
How many drop passes did Nelson have on last year? That's what I'm really curious about because he's being heavily scrutinized. And granted, like, he is dropping a lot of.
Apparently not much because he's not coming up on the screen. No, let me do this. You're gonna have to bear with me right now.
No problem. So then, while you look for that, I'll keep it up over here. At Osmosis, the defense, too many points at home. Receivers are backups. They are what they are, which we went over. At Live from the 215, the fumbles are sole reason for this loss. 2 fumbles on the same drive, which we covered before, and then the Nelson Aguilar fumble. It's haunting us right now.
Yep, but to go back to the drops, last year the leader for the Eagles was Zach Ertz. 5.
Wow.
5 drop passes all year last year. He caught 74.4% of the passes that were targeted. He was targeted. So that was a record-setting year. He caught 116 passes. He dropped 5 of them. So he could have had 120 receptions. So that was all year. Today, there were 7 dropped passes by the Eagles all game.
Which pretty much has cost the Eagles a lot more than just this game at this point.
And I don't know if I can get, and I'm going to see if I can, if they're updated right now.
Well, breaking news, Saquon Barkley, ankle issue. Limping out the game.
Trade for him. But right now the leader, and he got benched today. Dante Moncrief had 4 drops so far himself. So he got benched today for all his drops. Nelson Aguilar going into the games played 3, so I guess it's updated. He has 2 drops through 3 games, tied for 4th. He's tied with Amari Cooper.
So he only has 2 drops, and people are calling for Nelly's job. So that means
Darren Sproles has 1. Deshaun Jackson has 1. Obviously, he didn't play. Zach Ertz had 1. Has 1. It's rough out there. We're gonna get the jug machine out there tomorrow and Tuesday. Just don't go over game plan tomorrow, Tuesday. Just have the receivers just catch the ball over and over and over and over and over.
So at this point, week 3 in the books, overreaction or you still have time?
If we didn't have a game Thursday, I would say it's an overreaction. But there's a game Thursday.
And it's not just a game.
And it's against the Packers. And if you lose against the Packers, you're a 1-3 team. 1-3. And then I saw a reporter, Zach Rosenblatt from AJ.com. He made I would assume it's a snarky tweet. Maybe the Eagles are losing right now just to make the first round pick to get Jalen Ramsey a little bit better. Maybe they are.
No.
But at the same time, you trade a first round pick in 2020 and then you're a 1-3 team.
It's about how you finish, not how you start.
First round pick next year to be a high first round pick. But just to look at the rest of the season, they have a terrible slate of games
But it all depends on the health of Alshon and Deshaun, honestly.
Yeah, but then like you look at Thursdays up against the Packers. Then you have the Jets. That has to be a win. The Jets game.
It better be a win.
So let's say you lose against the Packers, but then you beat the Jets. That's two.
So then you're 2-3.
Then you're at Vikings. And it's the first time they're in Minnesota since something called the Super Bowl. And then you're at Dallas, you're at Buffalo, and then you're home against the Bears. That's a really tough 4 games. 3 on the road. 3 straight games on the road. I know the Bills game is not too far from home, but you're still traveling. Who knows if they're even fly. I mean, a flight from Philadelphia to Buffalo is like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it's not much of a trip. But right now they pretty much have to get either tomorrow or Tuesday, 2 days after they played today, they're getting on a plane to go fly to Green Bay. It's Lambeau Field, one of the toughest places to play in the history of the NFL. But I mean,
Carson Wentz is 0-1 so far in Lambeau.
Right, and this is a September game. I know it's not going to be the Lambeau Field.
Yeah, of course not, but still, it's Aaron Rodgers in his home turf, and you're on the road coming off a 2-game losing streak. If this is not a must-win game, I don't know what it is.
Thursday's weather is calling for a low of 54 in Lambeau Field. It's going to be chance of rain 50%. So it's not even close to being a Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
But it's a must-win game. You cannot be 1-3 going into the Jets game, because let's say they had Sam Darnold back. Say they get all their injured defensive players back. You run into the risk of a trap game with the Jets, and then you're 1-4 all of a sudden. So if you beat Green Bay and you make a statement, especially from these receivers, saying that we fucked up against Detroit and we're sorry. Let's show you against Green Bay, whose defense has been fantastic this season. They think they're number 1 in QB hits. They're number 1 in like QB pressures, and number 2. They've been outstanding this year. So it's going to be a really tough game this Thursday. If Alshon, and I know Deshaun's not going to play, but if Alshon can't play, it's another game where you struggle against Detroit's defense that only had Justin Coleman. Like, they lost 2 defensive tackles during the game. Darius Slay left the game late.
And we still couldn't close the deal. Detroit handed us that game.
Couldn't do anything. Detroit was doing everything they could to let us win, and we couldn't win. And now we're facing Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams and Jimmy Graham and Adrian Amos and Preston Smith and Blake Martinez,
Jair Alexander. I don't know if you mentioned him.
Jair Alexander. It's going to be a long Thursday night.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm at a loss for words. I'm still trying to get my head over there on this Detroit Lions loss. But we will put out a preview podcast for Thursday's game, which we'll go over our picks, because we didn't, obviously we're doing this midday right now.
Right. So Tuesday afternoon, Bryan and I will do another podcast to go over Thursday's game and do our picks for week 4. Currently, to be completely honest, I forgot to write down. I threw out, actually. I wrote down the picks on a Post-it and I threw it out. So I don't know how it's going for us right now. But
this was before the game, though, right? Not during the game.
But I do know that I picked the Colts and Bryan picked the Falcons. So I beat Bryan there. I do not remember if
anything else.
I do not remember if either one of us picked the Broncos. The Broncos lost. I do not remember if either one of us picked the Bengals. The Bengals lost. neither one of us picked the Dolphins to win. I don't remember if either one of us picked the Ravens to win. I don't think either. I think I picked Kansas City. I think you picked Kansas City.
I don't think I know. Yeah, damn. I don't know. I think I might have picked Baltimore to win that one.
Or if either one of us picked Tennessee to win. I don't remember that either. But yeah. So as of right now, well, the Giants are getting their asses kicked, 25-10 right now. I think we both picked Tampa Bay. But yeah, I think we disagreed on 3 games, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 games. So we'll see. I'll have to listen to the podcast from last week, and we'll figure it.
So we'll go over it on the podcast for Tuesday. But other than that, guys, hopefully, better times ahead. Hopefully, we trade for Jalen Ramsey. We thank you again, guys, for being with us in this podcast, and we hope you guys have a better rest of your night because, hey, we're Eagles fans and a lot of us are sour right now.
I remember it is not a sprint. It is a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it feels like I dislocated my knee on this marathon. And that's homage to – I'm paying homage to my wife who dislocated her kneecap on a half marathon a couple years ago, but then popped it back in to finish.
Oh, wow. She's tougher than Jason Peters right now.
She is tougher than the whole Eagles team right now. Shout out to my beautiful wife.
Don't forget to comment, to rate, to like, to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at FlippinBirdsPod. Follow Chris at Infante54 and myself at BCameronPSN, and we'll update you guys on Wednesday.
And we'll look forward to you guys on Wednesday. To listening on the next podcast, and I look forward to Thursday's game where Carson Wentz is going to throw the ball up and he's going to run down the field and catch it himself.
That's the only way to,
That's the only way he's going to win on Thursday.
Yeah, no drops today, by the way,
I mean, he did. I don't know if you want to call it a drop when he got up there. When he was batted down.
When he dunked that's a dunk.
He got up there.
Dunk.
He got up there. He got up like 30 inches higher than Liam Jenkins can on a vertical. But I'm sorry, Liam. I love you. I'm sorry. Don't fire me. All right. Well, go Birds.
Yes, sir.